So what do you do when you're 50 out of work and the job market is trash? In this video, we're going to talk about what I'm doing at 50, being out of work and tech while living abroad. For those of you who don't know who I am, hello, my name is Tanisha Mercer. I help Black women solo travel and move abroad. If any of that sounds like you, do me a favor, click the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into it, y'all. It is like 10:20 a.m. here, early in the U.S. time. I am up working on my YouTube videos, working on marketing, working on upskilling, reskilling. This is my day every day, okay? Every single day, I am hitting them hard. I'm applying for jobs. I am working on my consulting business and user experience and helping small businesses market and learning AI, which is another part of my business. I use AI every day. And so I am upskilling. It is so much stuff with AI to learn. And this is kind of what my day looks like being out of work. I'm all over the place, but my days are busy. Believe it or not, my days are really busy despite being out of work for right now. Luckily, I live here in Paris. My expenses are so much lower than they would be in the US. Believe me, I have thought about, okay, so what happens if I get an offer? And financially, it was enough to where I would be able to go back. I have been interviewing. The last interview I had was with a French company, and so it would be the perfect fit, but I have not heard back from them. This was like maybe 2 weeks ago. That was a great interview. They were looking for somebody that knows a native English speaker, because this particular division is dealing with they're looking to make a push into the US market. And so I'm in user experience. I typically manage content strategy. So they're looking at, let me fix my collar, Lord have mercy. So they're looking at hiring, let me get my words right, a native English speaker. And so here it is, I am. And so interviewed, I have not heard back from them, but French companies do move slow. And they don't move at the pace that U.S. American companies tend to move. So I am still applying in the interviewing loop. I had a really good interview, or rather meeting a couple weeks ago. I am also moving into the consulting space. That is really where, if you ask me, what do you want, Tanisha? What do you want? If you can have anything that you want right now, it would be a consulting projects, plural. Right? Because that would give me the flexibility to be anywhere in the world that I need to be. It would give me the total flexibility that I need. The one thing about a job is that sometimes jobs will, not all jobs will let you work remote. Some jobs will prohibit you. Right now, we know in the US, there is a big push to be hybrid. So these jobs are not even letting you be remote anymore, right? So I'm dealing with all of those things, being out of work at 50, and I hate to keep harping on it, but it's a reality. It's a reality that the people that I have been interviewing with for the past year, February 6th marked 1 year out of work, 1 year. And I have had many, many interviews, and most of my interviews, to be honest with you, most of my interviews have been with people who are usually younger than me. So I'm talking about usually millennial age people. And so that is something for me to consider, because again, I'm 50. I just took off like 10 years on my resume. My daughter was like, "Mom, why don't you take off some stuff on your resume?" I did that. It was painful. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. It was painful, because it's like, this is my blood. I felt like my blood, sweat, and tears, my experience. But I may need to, appear as if I'm younger than what I actually am, at least on paper. So I lopped off 10 years. My daughter, who is, 24, right? She's like, "Mom, like, you don't need more than 10 years experience. This is what old people do." And I'm like, okay. So I took it off. And I'm not saying her advice isn't warranted. I'm not saying I have not heard this advice before, but I went ahead and took it off. And we're going to see how that goes. It's one of those catch 22s, because I feel like when you talk to me, you'll see my resume, you'll talk to me, you'll know that I'm not like, even though I may only have 10 years of experience, you'll know that I'm not in my 30s, I feel like. But it's one of those things that if you are older and in the job market, the rules have changed. The rules have definitely changed. 3 years ago, in the tech space, which is what I'm in, they were throwing money at us. When I tell you they were throwing money, bushel fulls of money, okay? Bags full of money. The bags were being secured, and I was the one securing them. All right. I did my part. So now that the industry has changed, hiring has tightened up. Some people claim that, the tech industry overhired. I don't know if that's true or not. I will say there has been a definite correction. The tech industry was flush with money for a very long time, venture capital money. There is not the same confidence, right? The economy overall had been doing very well in terms of with unemployment. But in the tech space, you're typically paid very well, but it is going to be harder for you to land that next job. The jobs are not hiring. I cannot tell you how many ghost jobs I see. There are many ghost jobs. These jobs do not plan on hiring anybody. There are so many outfits that are out here claiming to advertise jobs that don't really exist, or they want you to pay for a premium service. There's that. There's ageism. There's that. There is just a general slowdown in the tech industry. These employers are full of shit. I'm just going to say it. They full of it. And I've never seen a job market like this. This is an employer's job market. That is a shift from a couple of years ago when, again, they were throwing money, signing bonuses. They couldn't find people. They were just, the job market was bananas, right? Now we've self-corrected. And now it is different. And the things that they are putting people out of work through, I can tell you that from my experience, multiple interviews, I'm talking about, 4 or 5 interviews minimum. I'm talking about asking senior level professionals like myself to do case studies and to do spec projects. That is not a norm. That is not the norm. I don't care what these companies may try to tell you. That is not the norm. It's not the norm, especially for senior folks like myself. Now, these are all like extra hoops to get the job. And people are ghosting candidates, right? People are ghosting. Folks are going through the loop. They're going through the multiple rounds of interviews. I've heard as many as 8 rounds of interviews, okay? And companies are ghosting them. As a job seeker, that crushes your morale. It really does. I go into everything like, let's see what happens. I don't know, but I cannot... I will not sit back here and imagine myself in any job unless I get an offer. I just won't do it because, a lot of these jobs will have you thinking that you're in there, you're going to get it. And then the offer never comes. People have even gotten verbal offers. The physical offer never comes, or they get ghosted. And it is incredibly disrespectful. It is demoralizing, being out of work. It is definitely an ego. It does not boost your ego. Okay, I can tell you that. Definitely, it is rough. It is difficult. And with all the ghost jobs, the employers who do not really plan on hiring you, employers who are taking you through these multiple interviews, employers who are asking and requesting you do projects. Now, let me back up. The one company that is known for doing this is Google. But you know that you will have a project to complete early on. They don't even interview you unless you agree that you will do a project or a case study as part of their employment process. I have been through the loop. I've had companies went on what's told is one interview, and they're making a decision this week. One interview, one and done. They really need somebody. Did the Zoom interview and then was asked to do a spec project. That does not happen that way. Have I done spec projects before? I have one time. When I tell you, usually it is not a good thing. It's usually not a good thing, because guess what? In my profession, I have a portfolio which we can go through. I will go through and walk you through my project, my content design rationale, my user experience rationale. We can go through all of that. References, right? There are so many other things you can do than a spec project, especially in the US. Now, here in Europe, case studies and spec projects are a bit more common. I can understand the differences, and guess what? Other positions, companies that have reached out to me, that I've interviewed with, have been very clear and upfront that it is a part of their employment process. I have no problem with that. What I have the problem with is employers not being upfront that this is a requirement. So don't do the Zoom interview, do the phone interview, do the Zoom interview. See me on screen and then tell me that there is a case study. It's giving Jim Crow. It just is. It's giving, that's what it's giving. It's giving how many jelly beans are in this jar to vote. That's what it's giving. Because again, you have to be upfront about that kind of a thing. And I don't care what anyone says. Some people are like, well, just do it. It is not common for senior level positions in what I do. And with more than 20 years of experience, I know exactly what is required with what I do. So I've been interviewing. I've been through the interviewing loop again. A lot of interviews, I've had employers flat out lie and say positions are remote, and they're not. They're hybrid, or maybe 4 days of, 4 days a week in the office is not hybrid. Okay, that is not hybrid. That is actually a tech industry standard to have. It used to be a standard to have before the pandemic. It was a standard to have 4 days a week in the office. Okay, and that was not labeled as hybrid. I've had employers contract positions flat out lie and tell me the position is remote. And then when I began speaking to senior executives and I began asking questions during the interview process, I find out that it is not hybrid. It is 4 days a week in office. I find out that these employers are like, we're moving back to in the office. We're moving back in office. So it's a lot of lies, misleading things going on. It's a lot of BS. Right now, the job market is trash. Being over 50 out of work is trash. It's basura. I don't know any other way to describe that. It is just basura. You can see my laptop over here. I am, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all the job places. I am looking internationally. My dream consulting role is one in which I'm working with French companies, right? Or working with US companies in a consulting capacity. That is my dream. Those are my dream projects. In the meantime, I am interviewing. I am out here doing everything that I need to do, applying. It gets demoralizing. It gets to be like, okay, this has been 1 year of this. How much longer are we going to do this? Right? Am I going to stay in tech? Am I going to do something else? I have, in terms of, speaking, work teaching English here in France. That has been something that I have been pursuing as well. That hasn't quite worked out the way that I thought it would with some large online operators. I am trying multiple things. At a certain point, it gets to be like, okay, when does it give? When does it give? When do you stop? When do you start doing something different? Again, restarting my entrepreneurial ventures. I've been an entrepreneur before in the US, had as many as 28 employees in an entirely different industry. So now I find myself, 50, again, unemployed for now, and restarting my entrepreneurial ventures. And to be honest with you, that may give me the quote unquote security that I need at this point, because I can't rely on corporate America. I am too young, quote unquote, to technically retire on paper, and too young to technically retire, but not old enough to retire. So I'm still in the job market. There are a bunch of people like me, a bunch of my peers we were all, all out of work. Two of them have found recent positions, but we're all the same age, former manager, former peer, colleague, and the job market in the user experience, in the UX space, it's tough right now. In tech, it's tough. Okay, if you've got relatives in tech, listen, that are out of work, show them some grace, show them some patience, because it is difficult right now. It is difficult. It is very difficult. So I am, again, retooling. I am keeping busy. I am working on my morale, keeping my morale up. It's a challenge every day. It is a challenge. Not being in where my support, all of my support is also different. Having to network differently is different. It is all different challenges. And that kind of what this experience has been teaching me. Okay. It is, again, this is not the first time I've been out of work. Is it the longest time I've been out of work? Yes. Yes, it is. I have been out of work before, especially in what I do. I have been, in departments, whole entire departments laid off, all of that has happened to me. But this time around is entirely different. The tech space isn't hiring the way it used to. The tech jobs ain't teching. Okay. They're just not. So I find myself here in Paris trying to reinvent myself at 50, starting over at 50. It is an experience. Stay tuned for more updates as I start over, as I, proceed with these entrepreneurial ventures, as I start my life over. Stay tuned. If you have not already subscribed, make sure you do. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.